Here's Brody Brazil.
As of right now, this certainly does seem like one of those stories about a sports team and its location, which are coming full circle. The Washington Commanders have existed for more than 90 years. They've had a couple different team names over the decades, but they used to play their home games right there in D.C. at RFK Stadium. They have since moved away to the state of Maryland. Wouldn't you know it? They might be one of the rare sports teams to come back to a site they used to play at and build a brand new stadium. Now, this is not an official rendering. This is just somebody else's concept. But something like this might replace RFK Stadium, which is currently being taken down piece by piece. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this story. RFK Stadium, it originally opened in October of 1961. It hosted a bunch of DC's sports teams for the NFL, MLB, college, USFL, NASL, MLS, WUSA. It did pretty much everything over the years, but no NFL games at RFK since 1996. That's when the football team moved out. The last regular tenant there was DC United, but their last match was in 2017. So it's been vacant, it's been dormant, and just recently, back in February, demolition crews started their work on tearing this structure down. It's going to take 18 to 22 total months before it's fully gone. There will be no big dramatic implosion. They're just taking it apart piece by piece. Some things, some items are being archived. I saw concession stand signs and ticket sale window signs. Things like that are being preserved for the sake of history. But the D.C. Council has transferred the site from the federal government's control now to the city's control, basically meaning that the District of Columbia is going to have the final say on what exactly happens here. The city's going to have the final say, and so they can strike a deal with the Commanders, which it does seem like we're right around the corner from officially seeing that. At the time I'm recording this, it's just a report. Multiple TV stations and media outlets are reporting on this, that these two sides are close to a deal. The deal would be worth more than $3 billion. The framework is in place, according to NBC News 4 television in Washington, D.C. And what this would do would bring the Commanders back to D.C. from Maryland, where the former FedEx Field, now current Northwest Stadium, Northwest Field, they just changed the name. FedEx Field, the former FedEx Field, is in where this team has played for a couple decades now. The team would pay up to $2.5 billion for this project. The District of Columbia would provide another $850 million. Now, the Commanders' lease at their current stadium, it's actually up in 2027, but the Commanders say that if they do this project, like if this moves forward at the RFK site, they need it to be ready. They would want it and need it to be ready by the 2030 season, so about 5 years away. Cato Architects came out with these renderings. I want to say this was from February. It caught everybody's eye and attention. This is a very unique design, and watch when the camera gets all the way around and you can see the monuments and memorials and the Capitol building. The roof made largely from timber and not steel. And I don't know the logistics of this or the reality of this. It certainly is different and beautiful. And look at that view out the windows on one of the end zones. You can zoom right through from the stadium area to the club level to the concourse. Look at the outside. I mean, that is architectural brilliance right there. Whether this ever gets built or not, renderings will always catch your eye. And this stadium, this potential stadium, which was Cato Architects' concept, it definitely does the trick here in terms of captivating. Now, I should also mention, the stadium can do basketball and concerts, but the site itself is more than 100 acres. They're calling it a campus. It also includes residential. You'd have to think some commercial. So there is going to be some zoning changes necessary for this site. It used to just be a stadium and a parking lot. Obviously now there's going to be people living and working there. So it's going to take on some different zoning requirements, but you can see how beautiful that is right on the shores of the river there. And I think there was a little river walk that was portrayed there. And I think that's the ultimate view right there. Doesn't get much better than that. So that is potentially what this project might look like. Okay, now that you've seen the pretty stuff, let's go back to the hard stuff. The public subsidy on this. DC funding would not necessarily go towards the stadium, but it would go towards funding infrastructure and things like parking structures across the 180-acre campus. The first $500 million of the $850 would be paid out between 2026 and 2030. And then the final, not $850, it's the final $350. You know what, let me change that. Hang on. There we go. It's the final $350 to get to $850 would be paid out in the year 2032, and that would come from new taxes generated from the site itself. So it would have 2 years of existence to build up about $350 million in tax revenue. Can it produce that? Can a site produce $350 million across 2 years to pay that out? Obviously, that's ambitious. The whole site would also have to be built out. You'd think it couldn't just be the stadium to produce that kind of tax revenue. But again, this is just what the plan is. The NBC News 4 report says this: the mayor's office and the commanders declined to comment to News 4 Wednesday, as you're watching this probably a couple days ago, just Wednesday from a couple days ago. But at a press conference back on Monday, Mayor Muriel Bowser announced the 2026 budget is complete and ready to go to the D.C. Council. Now, if the mayor has a new deal for the stadium, it will have to be in that 2026 budget. So if the budget's ready to go, and it has to be in that budget, then that's why everybody is talking about this as at least seeming like an agreement, a done deal. It hasn't been moved on yet, but it is something that two sides have agreed on if it is actually in that budget. One hurdle of all this, according to NBC News 4, is the looming $410 million in budget cuts D.C. faces for the current fiscal year that were imposed by Congress. That must get resolved. Then the mayor can present her budget for fiscal year 2026, which needs to be approved by the D.C. Council and Congress. So this is not entirely obviously done. It still has to get passed. There still are people and politics which potentially stand in the way of this. Again, the understanding of an agreement is one thing, but it actually coming through on the government side, at least to the tune of $850 million, that's a different thing. Zoning will also be a big issue moving forward. As I mentioned before, this used to just be a stadium and a parking lot. Now they want to do something completely different. A group of residents wants a voter initiative on the ballot blocking a stadium by restricting what can be built on the site. That's the way you stop this project from moving forward. If it were just stadium for stadium, people in the public who oppose this couldn't say much about it. It's just stadium for stadium. But in this case, it's campus replacing stadium and a whole lot more traffic and a whole lot more use and a whole lot more people on this site all the time. Let me get to my takeaways here. Number one, because this has been leaked or the media knows about it, I mean, that's not unintentional. I understand there's a lot of eyes and ears on the inside that know about this, but the fact that it got out does let me know that those people wanted it to get out who were on the inside. And it doesn't mean, again, that this is a done deal. It still could be stopped and held up and the budget voted against and not passed. All of that obvious, but the fact that there is some kind of agreement in place, yes, it would be close if it got leaked just like this. As I mentioned, still likely to face opposition on two fronts, the general public and politicians who might be against this. There's also some other questions I have about the project. For example, the commanders would be the developers here in this project of the entire site. The commanders are an NFL team. Now, they're a multi-billion-dollar valued corporation, but their specialty is being a football team and all the ancillary things that a football team does. They're not in the construction business. They're not in the development business. They're not in the real estate business. And it's not like they're just fixing up a stadium that already exists and building around it. They're taking control of this entire project. Now, they should have the right people and brain power on their side. Like, they're not doing it all. They're hiring the right people. But my point is, they're ultimately responsible as the developers of this project. I mean, what if you took like a software company and said, they're going to be the developers of this project? You would think, are they capable of that? And it just makes me wonder how capable the commanders are of actually getting something like this done and all the hoops you have to jump through and all the crossing of T's and dotting of I's. Like, it's a lot and it's going to be super costly. And the one thing that I just can't get over here, $3 billion plus, but that's not even close to what 160 acres of a fully built out campus is going to cost. I mean, the stadium alone, you would have to think is $2.5 billion with that roof and its size and probably the capacity of, 70,000 people. So the stadium itself would cost a lot, likely to face inflation, likely to face increases, all the story's tariffs, everything associated with it, construction materials, you name it. The cost is only going to skyrocket from now, 2025, until 2030. So is this funded enough? Can the team afford this? Can they do this? Can they pull this off? And also, can they afford it? I understand. It's a great idea. A lot of people, I think, would be happy going back where the team used to play, building something brand new there. I know there's always been a lot of complaints about FedEx Field over in Maryland. It just never hit like it was supposed to. So this would feel right in a lot of ways, but is this a reality? Just because a deal is in place, it sounds nice, but there's still a lot more that actually needs to happen for this to become a reality. We're still a ways away, but obviously people are talking about it and people are shaking some hands on it. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up on this video. Greatly helps me, this video, and this channel. And one more request, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.